Hey there, fellas. Today we're coming at you with a new experiment. You might remember this guy right here, the Lotta Samara we've already used for a few experiments. Today I suggest we address the exterior, make this thing look nice and sharp, while covering it with some sort of durable material. Anyway, we plan on making that material ourselves, just like with that dark black paint we made not too long ago. As for the ingredients we're gonna need to cook it up, first off we've got some xylene, which we'll be using as a solvent, plus we've got some styrofoam. Xylene dissolves styrofoam very quickly and easily, and you end up with a material which you can apply in the same way you would clear coat. But the interesting part is that once the material hardens, you end up with a super durable compound, which is extremely difficult to scratch up or do any other sort of serious damage to. I say we try it out and see what happens. Let's do this. Coating a car with liquid styrofoam. Translation and voiceover by BMI Russian. Right, fellas, check this out. I just poured in the xylene, and what have we got here? So this here is your typical heat insulation, just some styrofoam. So let me show you how xylene works. I did tell you that it's quick to dissolve styrofoam, so there's some xylene in that canister, and now I just dip the styrofoam in there. You can hear a hissing noise. And there you have it. I'm submerging it rather quickly. This piece is like 28 mil thick, and it's melting as soon as it touches the solvent. And it just keeps on melting. There you go. But that's nothing. We need to put some more in there. Though I'm sure you've noticed that the more styrofoam you've got in there, the slower the solvent does its thing. Still pretty fast though. Now check this out. If I remove the foam, you can see that the xylene is still transparent. Apparently when you dissolve that styrofoam in there, you get a sort of... The point is that the liquid becomes thicker the further you go, and you get a consistency about the same as you'd get with clear coat, and it stays transparent. So now all we have to do is prepare this nifty and hopefully super durable material. After that we prep the car for some paint, which we'll be covering with this stuff. Once we're done, the testing process begins. Let's get to work. Here's what we're looking at, fellas. The car was in pretty poor condition when we got it. Right here we removed the plastic trim, got everything ready. We've dissolved quite a bit of styrofoam in that xylene, to the point where we got that clear coat-like compound. We added a bit of color to that, and here's what happened when we tried applying it. The coverage is pretty awful. So far all we've achieved is covered the body in spots, and that's totally unacceptable. We'd prefer to get a more even finish happening. So at that point we went to the store and bought a pre-mixed base coat. We're gonna be using that to paint the entire car. The body's fully prepped and sanded down, so we've got that going for us. That should give us some good adhesion for the base coat. Once we've applied that, we're gonna cover the car with our... Again, I'm really hoping that this material will turn out to be durable. Let's get to it. Alright guys, check this out. We've given the car a makeover. As for the paint job, well, we coated the body yesterday evening. And this morning, we came out this morning and it's already fully dry. What can I say about the material itself? You can't really see it that well, but I'm trying to scratch it up with my fingernails, and I simply can't. It's much harder to damage than clear coat. My nails do leave some marks which you can barely even see, but you simply wipe them off with your hand and they're gone. As you all know, clear coat typically remains soft even a day after applying it. You have to be careful to avoid scratching it, and you definitely shouldn't do any polishing. But here, that's not the case apparently. As for applying the compound, you might have noticed that we ran into a bit of trouble with that. The polymerization happens so fast that it flies out of the paint gun, and you get the impression that Spider-Man is standing right next to you slinging his webs or something. So yeah, it dries out while flying out, and that confetti you saw turned out to be an issue. But even those bits that fell onto the bodywork, even right now you can tell that they're there. Anyway, when they fall onto the car, and they don't get tangled together with the other strings, so they fall and the xylene evaporates and the vapors dissolve those strings straight away. The thicker strings, however, weren't that simple to dissolve. When we finished applying the material, and the car was covered in strings, we went ahead and poured some xylene onto the body and evened everything out. Though right now you can tell where we had the big chunks, which got tangled together. We do still have some noticeable bulges here and there. In any case, fellas, the surface is dry. It's no longer malleable. And now we're looking to try polishing the body panels to see whether sandpaper is even able to leave a mark, and whether at all it's even possible to polish this material. Right, fellas, so check this out. We just took a crack at polishing this area on the rear quarter panel. You can definitely feel that the surface is smooth over here, and not so much right here. Anyway, so we let the car dry overnight, and our makeshift material, which we don't really have a name for, it polishes out without too much trouble. I'm sure if we were to give it a bit more time to dry out, it'd become even harder, making it somewhat easier to work with. We set the lowest speed we could on our polishing machine, and even that turned out to be too much. It seriously heats the surface, and since the material isn't fully dry, yeah, you have to avoid overheating the material. If you're able to do that, you should be able to get the job done easily and successfully polish the surface. So that covers the polishing aspect, but what about durability? I'll be taking a hands-on approach. I'm using everything I've got. Yeah, looks like it hasn't fully dried out yet. The keys are doing some damage, though it doesn't look like I've gotten to the base coat. That's nice. I say we try shooting it. I've got myself a BB gun right here. You guys might want to turn away and close your eyes. Okay, let's do this. Yeah. Looks like they've done some serious damage. Looks like they went all the way through to the sheet metal. That's a shame. Anyway, there you have it, fellas. Even at this point, our material is still more durable than clear coat. You can't really scratch it, which is quite nice. So that's the first benefit, with the second one, of course, being cost. This stuff was really cheap to make. There's really no need to spend a small fortune on fancy clear coat or anything like that. And this stuff is really easy to polish. However, it's not the easiest thing in the world to apply, with those spider webs flying all over the place. They even got all over our camera. Anyway, fellas, that covers that. Time to wrap this one up. All in all, I'd say this went pretty well. You guys watch us, subscribe, send in those comments and suggestions, give us a big thumbs up. Alright, catch you later. And don't forget that this stuff is really cheap. It's pretty awesome. By the way, where's the Range Rover at? We should give that thing a paint job.